Hey, everybody. It's 7:01. It's time to grandstand. It's Tuesday night. And guess what? You should have your popcorn or your snack, your drink, your water, or whatever your beverage of choice is. You should have already called your friend, called them and told them, hey, Mother Theresa's on. It's time to grandstand, everybody. Yes, I'm going to give you just a few more minutes. Enjoy in the meantime while you're getting together. You're getting it all together. All right, I need you to send out a text. Do something. Let other people know that, hey, it's time to grandstand. Yeah, it's time to grandstand on tonight. Y'all, I found my music. Last week I couldn't find it. I have it tonight. Yes, I found it, Nick. Hey, Trey. I found my music. This is my grandson, TJ, just in case you didn't know. For my new people that are coming on that's going to watch this later, listen. This is TJ Culpepper. Remember that name. Remember that name. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Mother Theresa here. So glad that you all are with me on tonight. I have a topic that I am quite sure that many of you all have thought about at least once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times in your life. But we're going to talk about delayed is not denied. Why your blessing is taking so very long. And I know I have some people out here watching on tonight, or maybe you're going to catch the replay. And this is definitely going to resonate with your soul. So if you've ever asked yourself, why is my blessing taking so long? Just put a heart, put a me too, or yes, it's me, or you're talking about me, put some stars, do something to let me know that this is a topic that you have thought about, or this is something that you have said. And guess what? We're going to dive into that and really talk about denied or delayed is not denied. Okay, I'm seeing the hearts now. So yes, hello there, Sister Sherry. So if you've ever asked yourself, why is my blessing taking so long? Just know that you are not by yourself. You are definitely not by yourself. And I want y'all to understand that waiting doesn't mean forgotten. God's delay is your divine development. The promise still stands. How many of y'all? Teddy said, me too. All right, Teddy. Yes, absolutely. How many of you all know that when we talk about God's promises is yea and amen. And so if God gave us a promise, baby, you can stand on that promise. I used to hear people say, you can take that to the bank. You can definitely take that to the bank. If God gave you a promise, all you got to do is stand on it. And sometimes we get tired of standing still. At least that's what we think we are doing, is standing still. But just know that if God gave you a promise, it's going to come to pass. Because we serve a God that cannot lie. He does not lie. He cannot lie. So I want you all to think about this. And so many of you all think, thank you for the hearts. So many of y'all think that, hey, honey, I see my honey has joined us. Some of you all have thought in your life, you've looked around and you've compared. It may be a blessing that you didn't that you didn't receive. Okay, and you didn't receive it. Absolutely. But as I was saying, sometimes some of us will think that and especially if you're looking on Facebook, any type of social media, listen, you all. I've told y'all, don't compare yourself with what you see on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, because they're only showing you a very small glimpse of their life. They're showing you what they want you to see. But how many of you all have thought, I should have been further along than this? I should have already gotten my degree, had children, gotten married, been healed from this, started the business, wrote the book, traveled across, have my passport, all of these different things. How many of you all have thought that? And then you sit back and then you start having that big old pity party. And you say, poor pitiful me, because I should be further along than this. But I want you all to know that delayed does not mean denied. And one of the things that I share, our personal story for me, is the delay doesn't necessarily mean denied. It took me staying out of school. I started college as soon as I graduated from high school. And I went for about a year. And I was like, you know what? This is not for me. I already had my daughter, my oldest daughter, Net, which will be celebrating her 45th birthday on tomorrow. Yes, the national holiday. So, hey, let's put some hearts and claps, some all of that for my daughter who will be celebrating her 45th birthday on tomorrow. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Mother Theresa, you do not look like you are old enough to have a 45-year-old daughter. And I tell people I am older than what I look, okay? And we're just going to leave it like that. But I remember that when I stopped going to school, I took a break. Now, I didn't plan for that break to be 10 years, but my break from school was for 10 long years. And when I decided to go back and finish that degree, God blessed me to be able to do that. Because see, back then, when I first started as an 18-year-old, I was not prepared. Although I was a good student, I was not focused. I was not settled. I had too many other things going on in my life. But when I came back at 28 years old, I was ready. I was ready. I had a good support system. I was married. My family was established, and I was ready to study. Hello there, Ivy Nicole. I was ready. So the delay for me, it wasn't a denial, but I had to get ready. And see, and that's what sometimes that we don't understand, that when we are delayed, or when something is delayed, something that we've been praying about or praying for in our lives, when that delay happens, a lot of times what is really happening is that God is molding you. He is actually getting you ready for the gift, or for the blessing or the promise that he has given you. Now, let me just tell y'all, sometimes we can say, okay, I'm ready for this thing right now. I'm ready for it right now. Let me just tell you, at an 18-year-old or a 28-year-old, or even sometimes a 38-year-old, if you won $5 million, especially an 18-year-old, what do you think you're going to do with that $5 million? Hey, mama, I'm so glad you're here tonight. We're talking about delayed is not denied. Listen, an 18-year-old versus maybe a 48-year-old, if they were to be given that huge amount of money, they're going to pretty much probably know what to do with it, because guess what? They've had some life experiences. They've been through some things. They have seen how life is. They know the value of money because they have probably been working. But an 18-year-old, come on, you all. Sometimes what is happening in the delay is God is actually preparing us. He's preparing us for the promise. And sometimes even in that waiting time, this is one of the things that really began to start happening. We began questioning our worth. We began to question our faith. We began to question God's timing. Because let me just tell you, there have been times, especially after I had gotten older, when I, was probably in my 50s, I began to ask God, some of the promises that you've given me, are they still going to come to pass? Have I gotten too old for some of the things that you had promised me? And that was really, really on my mind. As the stages of development, when you get closer to 50, you start looking at the things that have happened in the past, your past years, because for a lot of us, if we reach age 50, you know what? We're probably looking at half of our lifetime if you're blessed enough to live to be 100. But a lot of time, the age of, I'm not going to get into that, but we start looking at what have we accomplished in life? What have we done? What goals have we actually attained? And so sometimes when you reach that age, or when you're in the waiting stage, you begin to question not only your worth, but you begin to question the promises of God. But I want to tell you that you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. You are exactly at the stage, at the place, at the very point that God needs you to be at. And how do I know that? Because that's the way the God that I serve, he makes everything according to his word. He makes everything right and proper. And then when I say that, sometimes we can say, well, you know what? I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be at this place right now, or I shouldn't be at this stage. Well, guess what? Some of us have a lot of lessons that we have not passed. We've got a lot of tests that we have not passed. And I'm a firm believer that when God gives you a test, when he is testing you, when he's giving you something, or he's taking you through an experience that you have to pass something, guess what? You got to pass it. If you don't pass it, it's coming back around. And so many times we think, well, you know what? I've been in this situation before. This seems so very familiar. Absolutely, it feels familiar, because guess what? Maybe you didn't pass that test. And I will tell you from experience that when I find myself back in the same predicament that I have been in before, I start thinking, okay, how did I handle this the last time? Did I do we used to hear this a long time ago. What would Jesus do? Did I do what Jesus would do, or did I do what Theresa would do? And that helps to shape how I respond to a thing. So I know I'm not the only one. But what I want you to know is that you are definitely not behind. You are definitely not behind. You are right where God wants you to be. And you may say, but it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good right here. Well, guess what? Nobody ever said that this life was going to be easy. Nobody said that. But I do know that God, in his word, it says that cast all your care upon him, for he cares for us. And then also everybody who is, what they say, heavy laden, take your burdens to the Lord. Okay. So it's not necessarily going to be easy. Nothing in this life is going to be easy. Nothing. At least there is probably going to be, well, I take that back. There may be a couple of things, but guess what? A lot of things that we are experiencing in our lives, especially right now, it takes some effort, but that's okay. Because guess what? When you get to where you're going, you will definitely appreciate the journey. And so many times we start out on a path, or we're trying to get to the promises of God, and we think it's supposed to happen overnight. Well, for some, maybe it does, but not for everybody. And if you have been having this train of thought, then guess what? You're part of the people, or that other group, who it didn't just happen overnight. Okay. And how many of you all think that if what you have been praying for, if it happened just overnight, how much would you appreciate it? How much would you think that it was just your doing and not God's doing? Well, I'm here to tell you that everything that God does for us, He wants to be the person who gets the glory. Okay? He wants to get the glory out of the things that He does. The blessing will be well worth the wait. Absolutely, Sister Sherry. It will be definitely worth the wait. And I think about my children, and I think about, bringing them up and how we tried to make sure that they had everything that they needed. Okay. There were definitely a lot of things that they were given that they wanted. And I think I talked about this last week when I was talking about the shoes. Okay. But we tried to make sure that we gave our kids the things that they needed. But sometimes, let me tell you, when we give our kids the things that they need and we just shower them with abundance, sometimes our children are not that appreciative because it didn't cost them anything to get what we were giving them. If they would have had to work for it or earn it, then maybe they would appreciate it a little bit more. But when we are the ones that are constantly giving, and hey, parents, I know it's a lot of you all out here that's going to watch this a little bit later on, or you might get the little snippet. I'm going to tell you, it is okay to tell your kids no sometimes. They don't always need that brand new pair of Jordans. They don't always need the latest and the greatest gadget that's on the market. Hello there, Monique. They don't always need those things that they're just dying to have, or what everybody else has. Okay? Because let me just tell you, if we give our kids everything that they think that they want, sometimes our kids are not as grateful. Sometimes they are not as appreciative. Sometimes they don't take care of the things that we give them, and if it doesn't cost them anything, or if they didn't have to work for it. And so I'm not telling you not to do it, but I'm just telling you to use some wisdom. And as parents, I know we have to use wisdom when we're raising our children. So the myth of falling behind, I was going to say, that I did say earlier, is that when we are comparing our lives to the people that are on social media, listen, we're going to be disappointed every single time. We're going to be disappointed every single time, because you're always going to find somebody that looks like they're living better than you are, that looks like they've got it all together, that looks like that they are just living on top of the world, that looks like they never have to go through anything. They just look like they're just all together. And then we compare ourselves to our daily, getting up and having to do this and all of the things that we have to do. We just start looking at it and say, well, you know what? The person that I was looking at the other day, I don't think they had to go through all of this. Well, let me tell you, they did. They just not showing it on social media, okay? We are living our lives the best way that we can. And let me just tell you that when it's your time for God to answer the promises that He's made, He will definitely do that. But stop comparing yourself. Stop doing that. And I'm talking to myself as well, because sometimes I can think about even my move from Nacogdoches to Baytown. And I think, how God has really blessed us, since we've been here. But let me just tell you, we were blessed in Nacogdoches as well. God didn't just wait until we came to Baytown to bless us. He blessed us in a different way. But so I used to think, what if I would have left Nacogdoches years earlier? What would I have done? Where would we be? How would our life be any different? But let me just tell you, my mom is on here. She's listening. And I love you, Mama. And so as long as you can stay close to your mom, stay close to your mom. So staying in Nacogdoches, that was a choice that my husband and I made because our parents were there. Our family is there. And, my husband both of his parents are no longer with us, but my mom is still here. She's usually the first person to log in and listen to me. And let me just tell you, when I think about that, hey, that is worth every single thing that I can think of. So Mama, I love you. And so, and we were thinking about, the things and how God does certain things. There is a reason. There is a reason why we had to stay, or we chose to stay in Nacogdoches. Now, again, like I said, I had begun to look at that and say, what if? What if? But this is what I have learned, is that I am exactly where I need to be. And God sent me where we needed to be when he wanted us to be here. Okay. So again, stop comparing, stop trying to ask God, whatever. Just find yourself saying, God, whatever your will is for my life, I am satisfied. Whatever state that I am in, I'm learning to be comfortable, and I'm learning to accept where I'm at. Because guess what? Here is the promise. The things that God said that he would do for you, the explosion of your business, daughter, the all of the great things that God has shared with you in your quiet time, in your hours of prayer, all of those things, God is going to bring them to pass if it's his will. Now, we have to also think about what is our will versus what is God's will. Now, one of the things that my husband stated earlier, he said, if it's something about a blessing and receiving it. Now, sometimes there are certain things that I definitely have said, you know what? I think I was supposed to speak a word of encouragement to that person, and I didn't do it. And I missed that opportunity. And I immediately go into prayer and say, God, if this is really for me to say something to that person, let that person come back, or let our paths cross again. And when that happens, you all, I'm ready. I'm ready to share whatever it is that God wanted me to share, because this is the part of it, is that we've got to be obedient. If we want to be blessed, if we don't want to be denied, we've got to find ourselves being obedient to what the word of God is asking us to do, or what God is asking us to do. And also, not only that, you all, is that in the meantime, that is my theme song that my grandson wrote, that I play on GrandStanding. There is a reason for that song. There is a personal reason for that song. And then there is another reason for that song. When I think about in the meantime, especially as it relates to what I'm talking about on tonight, what are you doing in the meantime? While you're waiting on the blessing, while you're waiting for the promises, while you're waiting for your yes, what are you doing in the meantime? Okay? Are you just kind of waiting and not doing anything? You're not being obedient. You're not getting prepared. You're not, trying to do the things or do some things that will cause you to, when that opportunity does present itself, you're ready to step up to the plate. What are you doing? Okay. Because this is one of the things that I often share, is that there are so many things that's running through my brain, running through my mind. I am close to retirement, and I'm so looking forward to it. And I have been sharing with my family, I have been sharing with the people at work, is that I am making plans for retirement. There are certain things that I have been working on, and a lot of times it means that I'm in this office, I'm putting together different things. I'm working. I am working so that when I am not working every day, that I'll still be able to live comfortably. And so guess what I'm doing in the meantime? I'm in this office getting prepared. And that's exactly what many of you all should be doing. You should be preparing for when that breakthrough comes. I see some thumbs up. Now, if I don't call your name, it's because I don't know that you're here. So if you want me to say something to you, put something in the chat, okay? All right, let me see what else we've got. I know I've been talking a lot. It seems like it goes back to what my mom says, is that I talk so much and I can just keep, like, I just keep going on like that Energizer bunny. It's just I can keep talking, and sometimes my husband or my girls will say, stop and breathe. Just stop and breathe. So let me take a quick breather and let me just kind of get ready for the next as I get ready to close this out. So my other thing is what God does in the delay. And so one of the things that I share with you all is that delay does not mean denial. But when God delays, sometimes he's delaying so he can strengthen our character. So we talked a little bit about that, but sometimes our character needs to be built up. Sometimes we need to make sure that we're working on our character. The other thing is that it's teaching us patience. And let me just tell you, we live in such a microwave society, and that is an old term, but we want things instantaneously. We don't want to plant and then allow the time and then reap the harvest. No, we want to plant and then get the harvest. Okay. We want to go from straight planting to the harvest, and it doesn't work like that. Remember, seed, time, harvest. And then the other thing is that sometimes some of our hidden wounds may need to be exposed. Sometimes there is some brokenness in our lives, going back to some of the trauma. But then there are other things that don't necessarily come from trauma. It's just some wounds that have not healed. And then sometimes the other thing, which is a big thing, is that sometimes God is waiting to remove some people from our lives, you all. Listen, I heard a long time ago that not everybody can go where you're going. And that is so true. Okay. There are some people that have been your friends forever. I talked about my childhood friends. Sometimes, and this is not, I'm not talking about my childhood friend right now, but then sometimes God has to remove people in our lives. And again, remember, not everybody that has been a friend at one time is a friend for life. Sometimes we have friends just for certain seasons. They're in our lives for this season, and then next season, they're gone. And you may have had the most beautiful friendship or relationship, but guess what? When God said that time is over, don't try to hang on to them. Let them go. It is absolutely okay. Okay? Because sometimes people are hanging on to us, and guess what? They don't want to see you move in a different area anyway. So while they're right there hanging around with you, they're plotting against you. They're hoping that you don't succeed. They're hoping that you stay in that state of depression. They're hoping that you stay in the projects. They're hoping that you stay wherever you are, because guess what? You're dependent upon them for something. And as long as you're dependent upon them for something, they feel like they have the upper hand. So sometimes, yeah, it is hard to let go of people you love. Monique, you are absolutely right. It really is. There is a book, or there is a class that I used to teach at Christian Women's Job Corps called Boundaries. And in that book, basically, I was able to utilize that book to help women to understand exactly what you were just saying, that it's hard to let go of people you love, but sometimes it's necessary. Okay. Sometimes it is absolutely necessary. And sometimes the people that you love are family members, or they are members that, like I said, they have been friends for, it seems like, a lifetime, and you love those people. But guess what? Just because you have people that you need to put some distance between them, that doesn't mean that you always don't love them. We're commanded to love everybody. But we also know that there are some people that are in our lives that are really toxic, and you can love them, but we can love them from afar. Okay. I know that there are some people that you are never going to be able to get rid of. Okay. But then sometimes you got to ask yourself, when I'm around that person, how does it make me feel? How do they make me feel? Am I feeling joy? Am I feeling on edge? Am I feeling some anxiety? What is it that I'm feeling when I'm in the presence of this person? And I'm going to let you answer that question, okay? When you're in the presence of that person, how do you feel? And especially when they walk away from you or you're no longer with them, do you feel a sense of relief? Do you feel like, yeah, you got to think about that. So, and then also the last thing that I want to say about what God does in the delay is that He is protecting our destiny. Let me just tell you, I know without a shadow of a doubt that there have been times in my life and in my husband's life. Hello there, Sister Barbara. There have been times in my life that I know for a fact that God was keeping us hidden, keeping us covered, keeping us insulated, keeping us, it's almost like a shield had been put around us where nobody even knew we existed. And I know that what He was doing is he was protecting our destiny, because there have been so many times that if you were to be out there in the front, all of those darts that people are throwing, honey, those darts are going to hit you. But sometimes God protects us from all of that. And so what I want you to do is, I'm wrapping this up because I see my time is over. I want you to worship while you're waiting. Waiting should not cancel your praise. I want you to work while you're waiting. I already talked about that. Be good stewards of your finances, your time, your health, your habits, your home. Watch the words that you are speaking. Don't speak death over your own delay. Don't speak death over your own promises. Because see, what happens is sometimes when we think, oh, the promise is not coming, we start speaking doubt. We start speaking death over it and say, oh, it wasn't going to happen anyway, but don't do that. Keep believing. And then the last thing that I want to say about that part of it is, we know that we need to write the vision. And when I say write the vision, you all, I mean literally write the vision. I have books and books and different things and journals and things like this where I have just written the vision. The vision is in different books, and and sometimes if my husband would ever come in here and start going through things, he would see the vision. He would see different things that I have written, because hey, Tina, and Tina, let me tell you, hold on, Tina. Don't you dare let go. Don't you dare give up. This is not the time to throw in the towel. This is not the time to start saying, I'm done. I'm done with all of this and whatever. You dig your heels in and you hang on in there. You do what you know you've got to do, and then you don't worry about the rest of it. Because just like God has made a way for you in the past, He's going to continue to make a way for you. He's going to continue to make a way for you and your kids. And guess what? When it's time to lay down and rest, you're going to be able to rest, and you're going to be able to recoup. Your body is going to feel refreshed. And I'm speaking that word over you right now, that you just hang on in there, because help is definitely on the way. You may think that you're the only one that's in this situation, but no, ma'am, you are not. Hold on. Help is on the way. And sometimes when help is on the way, we don't know how help is coming. We don't know how God is going to do a thing. But let me just tell you, when He does a thing, He does that thing so beautifully and so wonderfully that you just wonder, oh my God, what happened? Where did it come from? But you hang on. Tina, don't you dare give up. Don't you dare give up, because like I said, we need more mamas like you. Okay. And let me just tell you, my mom is on here right now. My mom was a single mom for a long time. She had, it's 8 of us. It was 8 of us. You know, one of my brothers is Jimmy, is no longer with us, but mama was the perfect example of a mom, of a single mom with young kids. And let me tell you, mom made it work. Mom made it work. Yes, she did. She made it work. And just like if she made it work, guess what, Tina? You can do the exact same thing. You can do it. Any single mom, if you're listening to this a little bit later on, you all buckle in. You all grab a hold of faith, grab a hold of, you know, your kids, love them. One of the things that my mom often would say is that her kids was the only thing that she had. And so, and she did whatever that she could do to make sure that we were okay. And I can remember so many times when we didn't have a car, you all. And I can remember when we were little kids and mom would walk to wherever she was going. I don't know if she actually walked to work, but she would walk to the daycare, pick us up from the daycare, and then we would walk home. And it was like little ducklings just walking behind her. But guess what? We were all together. Mom knew what her assignment was, and mom did not falter. She did not go to the left. She did not go to the right. Was it hard? Absolutely. I know it was hard. And that's why I say, listen, single moms, hang in there, because I had an example of a mama who was a single mom. She didn't give up. She didn't give up. And I don't want y'all to give up either. Okay. I know I got off script, but guess what, Tina? I thank you for getting on here tonight. And you said, thank you so much. It was needed. Listen, we've got to be helpers one to another. And sometimes when you just need a word of encouragement and you are just like, I can't do this anymore. Y'all find you are a Mother Theresa. Find somebody in your life that can speak a word over you, okay? Because guess what? That's what's needed. We don't need to hear anything negative. We don't need to hear somebody saying, if I were you, I would do this, and I would tell them, and I would do this, and I would do that. No, ma'am. No, sir. That's not what we need. What we need is somebody to speak positive words of encouragement. We need that. And I'm going to tell y'all before I get off here, something about soul notes. Get soul notes. It's coming, because what I'm doing right now, listen, we can have that sent directly to you every single day on your cell phone. So stay tuned for that. And when the breakthrough finally comes, when it happens, it will be sweeter. Hello, Sister Martha. It will be sweeter. I love you too, Mama. I love you so much, Mama. It will be sweeter because you waited well. You did what you need to do in the meantime. And you will also know that it was nobody but God. Your hand may have helped in getting yourself prepared, but it wasn't you. It was all God. And it won't make sense a lot of times. The waiting will not make sense a lot of times until that blessing is actually sitting in your hands. Okay? And when it's sitting in your hands, and when it happens, guess what you're going to be able to do? You're going to do like my daughter did, and you're going to write that story. You're going to write that story, and you're going to tell other people about, oh, I guess it's behind me. It's somewhere. Honey, can you get that book? You're going to be able to tell somebody about the wait, that season for purpose, okay? It's back there, y'all. It's back there. Hold on. There it is. You see that? You see that? And I'm going to talk about all these other books later, okay? I'm going to talk about all those books later. But when it's sitting in your hands, when it finally happens, you're going to be able to tell your story. And when you tell your story, listen, I want you to tell your story. Don't you leave anything out unless God tells you to leave it out. Because guess what? The pain and the purpose and all of those things that you have went through, the experiences, the highs, the lows, the many nights of sitting there crying, the many nights of you praying and say, God, I don't know if I can do it any longer. I don't know if I can hold out. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. But let me just tell you, you got to hang on, because delayed is not denied, you all. It's not. It is not denied. It's just on pause. It's just on pause. Okay? And when things are on pause, it seems like it's just not going to come. But I want you to know that for every weary soul, and this is my prayer for you, for every weary soul, for every person that's listening, for every person that is waiting because they feel like they're been delayed, I want you, Heavenly Father, to renew their strength. I need God to renew your strength because I need you to hold on. I want you to let them feel seen and heard. And I want you also, oh my gosh, Tina, you don't know how much it means to me either. Release them from the pressure of always feeling like they have to perform. They have to always be on top of everything. But God, I'm asking you that you will give them some rest. I'm not talking about eternal rest right now. I'm just talking about a good night's sleep. Because some of you all just need a good night's sleep. Some of you all need a couple good night's sleeps, okay? And I declare that the delay is not a denial. And when the blessing comes, God, I know without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to give you the praise and the honor. And with all of that, you all, I want you all to start getting ready, because some of you all have been in a holding place for a long time. And I just want you all to know that that time is rapidly winding up. That blessing is just right around the corner. And so many of you all know that because you can see it. It's like it's been so many things. Those fiery darts have been just coming left and right. And so a lot of times I can remember my friend Deidre, she used to say, when those darts started coming like that, you know that breakthrough is on the way. It's just around the corner. Don't give up. Don't give up. Hang on in there. And so I want you all to be blessed. I want you to be blessed. In the meantime, keep holding on. All right? This is Mother Theresa with GrandStanding. And I hope that this has been a blessing to you as much as it's been a blessing to me. And guess what? If the Lord says the same and the creek don't rise, I'll see you all next week, okay? Y'all have a good night. Happy birthday, Ned. Yes, it has been. Amen and amen. Good night, Tina. Monique, I sent you something. I hope you got it. Thank you, Sister Sherry. All right. I'm going to say good night. And as my sister Cynthia would say, good night, grandstanders. We'll see you all on the next time. Y'all have a blessed night. Bye-bye.